Hi everybody. Today is Saturday, August 23rd, 2025. On July 28th, 2025, I wrote a piece about World War One led to the rise of Reza Shah the Great as the savior of Iran. And today I had the opportunity to make a video clip about it. It is intriguing to consider how the people of Iran who participated in the 1979 revolution could have foreseen the consequence of their actions when they chanted death to Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. Many of them may not have fully grasped the historical implication, especially those stemming from the aftermath of World War One and World War Two. This week, this paper explores the profound impact of World War One on Iran, a period that profoundly shaped the country's social and economic landscape. Next week, this paper turns its attention to the effects of World War II on Iran. Understanding this historical context is crucial for comprehending the events that led to the 1979 revolution. And it also helps readers to understand the present by learning from the past. World War One, with its unique scale and casualties, brought about a significant transformation in class structure across participating nations. The loss of aristocracy, increased social mobility, and shifts in economic power and labor dynamic were unprecedented, creating a vacuum in traditional leadership and wealth. The war effort necessitated the mobilization of women and other previously excluded groups into the workforce, leading to social and economic advancement for some. Decline of aristocracy, heavy losses. The upper classes, particularly those serving as officers, suffer disproportionately high casualty rates, leading to a decline in their numbers and influence. Loss of land and wealth, increased taxation, death duty, and the necessity to maintain a state force many aristocratic families to sell off land and assets. Decline in traditional authority. The war challenged the legitimacy and authority of aristocracy as the broader population began to question their traditional roles in leadership and governance. Increased social mobility. Wartime opportunities. The war created new opportunities for social and economic advancement, especially for those who serve in the military and gain position of responsibility. Shifting class boundaries. Class lines began blur in the trenches where death did not discriminate, and the expansion of the franchise empowered the working class to challenge the established order. Migration to cities. The war accelerated the trend of workers moving to cities to seek employment in war-related industry, further disrupting traditional ruler class structure. Economic shifts. State intervention. The war necessitated increased state involvement in the economic, including price controls, rations, and labor regulations. Rise of new industries. New war production boosted certain industries, creating new jobs and opportunities, while others experienced decline. Inflation and wage gaps. While some workers receive wage increase, inflation often outpaced these gains, widening the gap between the rich and the poor in some instances. Post-war instability. The war's economic consequences, including inflation, housing shortages, and unemployment, resulted in social unrest and instability. Changing roles for women. Wartime labor. Millions of women entered the workforce, taking on jobs previously held by men, particularly in factories and war related industries. Increased autonomy. Women gain greater financial independence and social autonomy during the war. Changing social norms. The war challenges traditional gender roles and norms, particularly concerning courtship and family life. Impact on education. Increased literacy and education. The war effort heightened the need for a more education population, leading to increased investment in education. Curriculum changes. Schools incorporated war related subjects into their curriculum, reflecting various nationalistic and ideological perspectives. In conclusion, World War I ushered in a period of profound social and economic upheaval, challenging traditional class structure and laying the ground for new social and political dynamic in the post-war era. This paper aimed to explore the parties involved in World War I, including Russia, the United Kingdom, the Ottoman Empire, Germany, and Armenia, and their impact on Iran. World War I was a global conflict that occurred from 1914 to 1980, primarily involving two opposition coalitions, the Allied powers and the Central powers. The war involved numerous other nations and territories, making it a truly global conflict. This global impact connects us to the historical events of the time. Key aspect of World War I. Allied powers. This coalition include France, Britain, Russia, Italy, Japan, and the US. Central power. This group consisted of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. Global scale. While the World War began in Europe, it quickly expanded to other continents, including Middle East, Africa, and the Asia-Pacific region. Major battles. The war featured many significant battles on multiple fronts, including the Western Front in France and Belgium, and the Eastern Front in Russia and in the Middle East. Technological advancement. World War I saw the introduction of new and devastating technologies such as tanks, aircrafts, artillery, machine guns, and chemical weapons. Mass casualties. The conflict resulted in an estimated 30 million military casualties and additional 8 million civilian deaths to war-related cause and genocide. During World War I, Russia involved in Iran was characterized by military occupation and political influence, particularly in the northern region. Despite Iran's declaration of neutrality, Russia, along with Britain, maintained military forces and exerted significant control, effectively dividing Persia into a sphere of influence. The resilience of Iranian people in the face of such influence is a testament to their strength and determination. Key points. Occupation. Russia occupied northern Iran, including key cities like Tabriz, Urumqi, and Khoy, citing security concerns for Armenia and Assyrian Christians. Military presence. The number of Russian troops in Iran grew to between 80 and 90,000 during the war. Political influence. The presence of Russian forces significantly impacted Iranian politics, with the central government often needing Anglo-Russian approval for important decisions. Anti-Russian sentiment. Russian actions such as shelling the Goharshad Mosque in Mashhad and attacking the Iranian National Assembly fueled widespread anti-Russian sentiment among the Iranian population. Impact of the Bolshevik Revolution. After Bolshevik Revolution in 1970, Russian soldiers began to withdraw from Iran, but not without looting villages along the way. Sphere of influence. According to a secret agreement between Britain and Russia, had established separate sphere of influence in Iran, with Britain controlling the south and Russia the north. Violation of neutrality. Both Iran and Russia violated Iran's declaration neutrality through military occupation and actions that undermine Iranian sovereignty. During the World War I, England's position in Iran, then known as Persia, was shaped by its desire to maintain influence and protect its interests, particularly regarding oil supplies and trade routes in the Persian Gulf. Although Iran declared neutrality, British and Russian forces occupied the country, dividing it into a sphere of influence, with Britain controlling the south. England's objective in Persia: secure trade and oil. Britain aimed to protect its trade routes and communication lines in the Persian Gulf, and ensuring access to oil supplies from Anglo-Persian oil companies. Military. The goal was to maintain military dominance in the region and counter any potential threat from the Central Powers. Reassert prestige. Britain sought to reassert its prestige in Persia and the broader Middle East. British actions in Persia, dividing into a sphere of influence. Along with Russia, Britain divided Persia into a zone of influence, with Britain controlling the south and Russia the north. Military presence. British troops, including the South Persian Rifles, were stationed in Persia to protect British interests and counter local opposition. Engagement with Ottoman forces. British forces participated in military operations against Ottoman troops in the neighboring Mesopotamia, present-day Iraq, and along the Persian border. Control of resources. Britain sought to control Persia oil resources, which became increasingly vital for its war efforts and economy. Post-war agreement. After the war, Britain attempted to formalize its influence through the Anglo-Persian Agreement of 1990, which aimed to establish a British protracted over Persia. Consequences for Iran: occupation and famine. Iran's neutrality was disregarded regarding to occupation by foreign troops, particularly British and Russian, which contributed to a devastating famine during the war years. Loss of sovereignty. The division of Persia into a sphere of influence and Anglo-Persian agreement significantly diminished Iranian sovereignty and independence. Resentment and opposition. The British presence and their policies in Persia generated widespread resentment and opposition from Iranian population, who perceived their country was being exploited for foreign interests. During World War I, Germany's interests in Iran were primarily strategic, focused on exploiting anti-British and anti-Russian sentiments to weaken the Allied powers. Germany viewed Iran as a potential ally in its rivalry with Britain and Russia in the region. Here is some more detailed breakdown. Exploiting anti-sentiment, Germany, along with its ally, the Ottoman Empire, sought to disrupt the Anglo-Russian alliance in Persia by supporting anti-British and anti-Russian factions. German agents and propaganda such as Wilhelm Wasmus, I'm not pronouncing it properly, was active in Persia, working to incite tribal chiefs and local leaders against the Allied powers through propaganda and bribery. Military and intelligence operations. Germany's intelligence bureau for the East conducted intelligence and subversive mission in Persia and Afghanistan to undermine the Anglo-Russian hopes for a German-led invasion. Germany aimed to free Persia from British and Russian influence, potentially using it as a base to launch an invasion of British India. Initial German successes. German agents, along with Persian nationalists, managed to create significant disruption and alarm among the Allied forces in Persia. Shifting dynamic. The February and October Revolution of 1970 in Russia weakened Russia's position in Iran, allowing Britain to become the dominant foreign power in the region. German decline. Following the end of World War I, Germany's weakened state and the rise of British influence in Persia led to a decline in German power in the area. During World War I, Iran, which remained officially neutral, was significantly affected by the conflict, particularly in the northwestern region, bordering Armenia and the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire's invasion of Iranian Azerbaijan, along with the involvement of Russian and British forces due to the Saviour influence, led to the clashes and the occupation of parts of Iran. This situation had a direct impact on the Armenian population within Iran, as they found themselves caught between warring factions. Ottoman invasion and Armenian involvement. The Ottoman Empire, allied with Germany and Austria-Hungary, invaded Iranian Azerbaijan, which included areas with significant Armenian population. This invasion triggered clashes with Russian forces, whom Armenian and Azerian volunteers supported. Russian withdrawal and Ottoman gains. The Russian Revolution in 1970 resulted in Russia's withdrawal from the war and its territory, including parts of Iran. As a result, the Ottoman Empire gained greater control over Iranian territory, including areas where Armenians resulted. Impact on Iranian Armenians. The advancing Ottoman forces engaged in massacre of Armenian and Azerian civilians as part of the broader Armenian and Azerian genocide. Many Iranian Armenians were killed or displaced during conflict. Neutrality and occupation. Despite Iran's declaration of neutrality at the start of the war, its territory was effectively occupied by various forces, including the Ottoman and Russian. Armenian and Azerian resistance. Armenian and Azerian volunteer units played a role in resisting the Ottoman advance, especially in northern Iran. The Battle of Delman in 1915, for example, saw a significant participation from Armenian and Azerian forces in a Russian victory. Following the Ottoman Empire's defeat in World War I, its partition soon ensued. Enver Pasha's political vision: if the Russians are beaten in the key cities of Persia, they could be forced out of region, fell when Russian and Bakhtiar troops landed in 1920 and forced the pro-Turkish Majlis to disband. The immediate outcome of this campaign was the Anglo-Persian Agreement, which granted the Anglo-Persian Oil Company the right to deed. British Foreign Secretary Lord Curzon presented this treaty to the Persian government in August 1990. guaranteeing British access to Iranian oil fields. In 1919, British General William Edmund Ironside occupied northern Persia to enforce the terms of armistice of Madras. The British government also attempted to establish a protectorate over Iran, in addition to tightening its control over the increasing lucrative Persian oil fields. In late 1920, the Soviet Socialist Republic in Rash prepared to march on Tehran with guerrilla forces consisting of 1,500 Jangalis, Armenians, Kurds, and Azerbaijan, supported by Soviet Red Army. However, Soviet forces withdrew in 1920, aiding Britain in its goal of establishing. That same year, a military coup brought by Reza Khan, a Persian officer of the Persian Cossack Brigade, to power, leading to the establishment of the new Pahlavi dynasty in 1925. Reza Shah courted the power of the Majlis, effectively transforming it into a rubber stamp. While Reza Khan and his Kazakh Brigade secured Tehran, a Persian envoy in Moscow negotiated a treaty with the Bolsheviks for the withdrawal of Soviet troops from Persia. The 1921 coup d'etat and the rise of Reza Khan were supported by the British government, which sought to prevent Bolshevik influence in Iran, particularly due to the perceived threat to the British India. The British government later claimed to have provided ammunition supplies and paid for Reza troops. However, Reza Shah's subsequent anti-British action, including fighting and deposing British-backed figures in Iran, such as Sheikh Khazal, strongly contradicted these assertions. In conclusion, World War I had a profound negative impact on Iran, resulting in a significant loss of sovereignty. The Iranian lost protections as Russia and United Kingdom and Ottoman Empire encroached on Iran's territory and exploited its natural resources for their interests. World War I could have marked the end of Iran. However, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, the country managed to recover from its devastation. Reza Khan, who began his career in the military, played a crucial role in restoring Iran's sovereignty. He established the Pahlavi dynasty, and Reza Shah Pahlavi became the constitutional monarch of Iran. Using diplomacy to regain the nation's independence, in 1979, many Iranians were on the way of Reza Shah the Great was. They fell into a trap set by England, Russia, and Germany, and the US, and revolted against Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. It's going to continue. I will be again talking about His Majesty Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. Cheers.